Hey guys, Steve here from Bloom Audio. Today we're going to talk about the HiFi-M8 V2 from CEntrance. Now CEntrance is best known for developing audio tools for the stage, the studio, or even live streaming online. But while some of their other products definitely have some audiophile crossover, the original HiFi-M8 and now the V2 were specifically designed from crowdsourced feedback with audiophiles in mind. So, with years of expertise and community feedback behind it, does the HiFi-M8 V2 emerge as a strong contender for the portable DAC throne? Let's find out. So, if I had to describe a key element of HiFi-M8's V2's style, it would be big black metal brick, because that's kind of what you got here. Very utilitarian design. So if you look at, you've got a couple of outputs as well as your charge port on the front and your other outputs on the back. These controls are all recessed into the unit to be designed so that they are not accidentally bumped or anything like that. One disadvantage of that is that all these little switches do need a special tool to change. This is admittedly a bit challenging. If you're on an airplane or something, you decide you need to change a setting, you need a little bit more bass. That's going to be a challenge. So on the front here is what they call the hot outputs. You've got the 6.3 millimeter and the 4-pin XLR. And on the back, you've got the cool outputs, a 3.5 millimeter and a 2.5 millimeter balanced. So the output at the back are already outputting at a lower power than the front. And then there's also a gain switch, which enables you to toggle low and high gain, which will push even more power out of the front or boost up the back a little bit for a 3.5 or 2.5 millimeter situation. So if you want to look at all the switches, so we've got our gain, high, low. We have a bass boost, a treble boost. We also have this, we'll go with the stamina first, and then this charge switch, which basically, as it stands, this is your audio input USB. And this is your charge USB. If I turn the charge switch on, it enables both audio input output and charge via the same port. Then in terms of these knobs, this is volume, and then this is the brightness for the VU meter on the top. Now the stamina switch, what that does is it actually disables your front two outputs and it disables the VU meter on the top. So it does that in order to save battery life. So if we want to look inside of the box, open this up. And it's a fairly small package. There's a nice little carrying case, this sort of velour material. There's a card which basically tells you everything that I just told you, but you can get it direct from CEntrance, so that's good, with a little bit more information there. And then there's the accessory package. So you get a USB-C to C cable, a just dropped but not forgotten USB-C to A adapter. If you want to put rubber feet on it, if you're going to leave it on your desk, and the famous tool that you're going to need to use for flipping the switches. So you can see right there. A paper clip or safety pin or other household object will do the trick just as well, but you get this handy dandy tool. In terms of sound, HiFi-M8 has this sort of quintessential audiophile studio reference sound. The delivery is very neutral, crisp, detailed. It's really strong definition and separation. Excellent treble extension into the highs and also bass extension into the low, but with a linear sort of delivery of the bass. It also provides a really impressive 3D image for the the sort of unit we've got here. With it's providing your headphones with the information it needs to deliver, depth and width and height, and also really strong positioning to go along with that. So there are some switches and tuning options on the device that work quite well. So on high gain mode, the XLR just absolutely screams. Honestly say delivers desktop level power. But then on low gain mode, using one of the cool outputs on the back of the device, you're able to get an almost black background even with really sensitive IEMs. So the bass boost on it is effective. It delivers just that little bit of extra push in the bass without really coloring the tone otherwise. Doesn't feel like a warmth button or anything like that. It just feels like a little extra emphasis in the low end if you need that or if you like that. And the treble boost can certainly help with rolled off highs, or you can turn them both on to get sort of a V boost if that's the sort of sound you're into. But again, these are both pretty tasteful and well executed. It's not going to create, a lot of bleed or anything else with the bass boost, or a very highly fatiguing sound with the treble, unless you're like treble boosting an HD 800 or something like that, and then that's on you. Altogether, I'd say HiFi-M8 delivers a very detailed, transparent sound to a huge range of headphones in a portable form factor. So for comparisons, I had a couple of different thoughts. On the one hand, the xDSD Gryphon from HiFi is a pretty obvious comparison. They're both Bluetooth portable DACs, both with a fairly decent number of connectivity options. The other is kind of on the opposite end, and that's the Burson Conductor 3 Performance, where I really think the sound on the HiFi-M8 V2 and the power is kind of edging in on that desktop territory. So I wanted to see, how does this really stack up to a slightly more expensive desktop unit? So in terms of Gryphon, Gryphon is a little bit more of a neutral signature than most HiFi products. I would still say there's a little bit more color to the tone than the HiFi-M8, but it's kind of in the same neighborhood. Now, in terms of input options, Gryphon kind of wins that prize with a higher number of inputs, including the ability for analog input, digital coax, and some other things. Whereas for outputs, HiFi-M8 wins that with 3.5, 2.5, 6.3, and XLR, all on the unit, and also with a little bit more control over the gain levels between being able to power, flagship level balanced over your headphones via XLR and being able to deliver with sensitive IEMs as well without having to use the IE match, where the Gryphon has a built-in IE match. But it always seems like there's a little bit of a sacrifice there with that. So HiFi-M8 allows you to do that without going in that direction. So just listening to the two together, using the USB input as reference, I do think the HiFi-M8 presents stronger detail, more texture and feeling there in the bass. There's better extension. and just stronger separation as well with the instruments. In the treble, they are a little bit closer, where I feel both have a decent sense of definition and air in the treble. The HiFi-M8, might extend a little better, but that's a closer comparison, where I think the HiFi-M8 definitely has more of a triumph in the bass. Now, again, the Gryphon has the X bass. It has this, bass versus presence switch in the back, and you can kind of tune that. The X bass, to me, just there's a little bit of color to it, where if you like the color, then you like the color. If you want it to be more of a neutral, tonally, bass boost, Gryphon has the color, while HiFi-M8 has a little bit more of a neutral sound there. The one place I will say Gryphon excels is with the Bluetooth connection. Gryphon offers a higher number of codecs, and I just felt like the Bluetooth performance was a little stronger. HiFi-M8 sounds a little bit more compressed using the Bluetooth than Gryphon does. And again, from a ergonomic aesthetic perspective, Gryphon's definitely the smoother, sleeker, more pocketable of the two. And this is somewhat of a theme with HiFi-M8, but if you want the sound above all else, I think HiFi-M8 is the one to pick. If you want that balance of higher level of convenience, you're going to be using it a lot with Bluetooth or other things, Gryphon does have a small edge on that end. So the other comparison I was talking about was the Burson Conductor 3 performance. And so, obviously, while a really top-notch for the price DAC amp combo that costs hundreds of dollars more is hardly a fair comparison, I actually think it shows you what kind of performance the HiFi-M8 really is giving you in this package. Tonally, they actually have very similar characteristics overall. Again, being pretty neutral, strong detail and definition and performance in the highs. The sound stages are similarly constructed with the width and depth and all of that, but I think Conductor 3 is a bit bigger in the sound stage. And in terms of the imaging, the Conductor 3, the big thing I noticed going back and forth between the two was the Conductor 3 just took things further out of your head with the imaging, where sometimes in the center of the image, the HiFi-M8 would feel just a little bit in your head, where the Burson felt a little more out there, a little bit less intimate than the HiFi-M8 felt. But it was still a pretty good comparison. There's some other little things. The texture in the bass I thought was actually really similar. And the bass boost button or switch on the HiFi-M8 can give you a little bit more slam than the Conductor delivers there. The 3X performance, the 3 performance or the 3X performance is going to give you more power overall than HiFi-M8, but it is a pretty close, especially considering that HiFi-M8's portable versus the desktop units. But yeah, in the end, I think HiFi-M8 doesn't quite keep up, but considering it's a portable unit, hundreds of dollars cheaper, I think it comes surprisingly close to rivaling that really strong desktop power from the Conductor. So I have to admit, I'm probably the exact target audience for HiFi-M8. I'm a musician who's spent plenty of time on stage and time in studios, but I'm also an audiophile who wants to bring that experience of music into my everyday life. So if you're used to luxury products with sleek designs and OLED screens, HiFi-M8's interface and design might seem old-fashioned or inelegant. But to me, it's just simple and functional. And in the end, that's kind of what HiFi-M8 is. It's a celebration of sound quality and function. And the qualities and capabilities of the HiFi-M8 are definitely worth celebrating. Thanks for watching. You can check out HiFi-M8 and a ton of other great products at bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more hi-fi personal audio content.